like to extend a good morning or a good afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. We thank everyone for joining us today. We look forward to another great presentation. Just by way of introduction, and implementers and trainers and users of Unanet AE as well ourselves, our goal is to really share insights that will help you and your teams get the most out of Unanet. So we'll start with some of the basics, and then we'll progress a little deeper into the more advanced things. And hopefully by listening and learning, we'll all learn something as far as being able to take advantage of the tool and be able to take our usage of the tool to the next level. Also, after the presentation, we'll be able to open it up to question and answer, but also feel free to either put your questions in the chat, or you can unmute as well and just interrupt us and ask questions as well as we're going. And then, as usual, we want these sessions to be as useful as possible for everybody. So please let me know of any suggestions or feedback so that we can kind of tailor the topics that answers as many users' questions as possible for future meetings. So without further ado, we can get started today. The topic we're going to discuss today is WIP, unbilled revenue, and an introduction to RevRec. So we'd like to extend a welcome to Martha Griffith, who's also a VP and a partner and senior consultant here at OAS, and she's going to talk to us on that theme about revenue recognition. So we'll turn it over to you, Martha.
Thank you, Tim. Let me share my screen here. All right, can everybody see my presentation?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Well, again, thank you all for being with us. We're going to touch on revenue recognition. What I hope to do today is to just give you an overview of what recognition is. So you hear a lot in the industry. Some of you may be already using some different type of revenue recognition than what the system does automatically, but many of you are not, and you may not need to either. But I'm going to give you an overview. I'm going to tell you methods of revenue recognition that are supported by system functionality. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about the customized RevRec dashboard that Unanet offers now to do some more advanced features, and then talk a little bit about the future of RevRec in Unanet. So what is revenue recognition? It's a generally accepted accounting principle, GAAP principle of realization, and it tells how revenue shows up on your financial statements. It's a pronouncement or a GAAP. Realization tells how revenue is going to show up on your income statement. There are some accounting pronouncements that came out in, I believe it was 2018, the IFRS 15 and the ASC 606 that provide governance on how revenue recognition should occur. And what I'm going to show you today and what we're going to talk about is how Unanet can work with different types of revenue recognition. Here at OAS, we can't help you decide what type of revenue recognition you need to do for your company. You need to work with if you have auditors that are auditing your financial statements, telling you that you need to recognize revenue differently, you would work with them to figure out how it should be recognized. And then here at OAS, we can help you get the right system functionality in place so that Unanet does it automatically for you. So what does the system support? So out of the box, and I'm going to bet many of you that are on this call, your revenue is equal to billing. It's this first thing here, this first bullet point. And that is completely fine to use. If when you bill, when you invoice every month, that is when you earn your revenue. Now, if you have contracts, though, where you have, for example, milestone billing, so you can only bill, like maybe the first billing you can do isn't until you get to 50% of the project, and it's 3, 4, maybe 6 months into the project. The GAAP pronouncement, the GAAP says that you should be recognizing revenue when it's earned. So as you're working on the project, you're incurring costs monthly, but if you have that milestone billing, you're not going to be able to bill the client until you're at 50%. So you really should be recognizing revenue as you're incurring those costs monthly. That may not be true for many of you. You may not be carrying, and another example would be if for some reason it's an hourly billing project, but you can't, for some reason, you can't bill it monthly. So you're carrying a lot of WIP, work in process, or it's also referred to as unbilled labor expenses. If you're carrying a lot of unbilled, then that could be a reason that you might need to recognize revenue differently than what's being invoiced as well. So again, the system supports that, it just does out of the box, revenue is equal to billing, unless you do something more. The other two things that, the other two types are RevRec Lite. I'm going to get into that in a minute. That functionality will allow you to also recognize what your unbilled labor and expenses are on your income statement. And then there is a post-earned revenue module that will allow one more step above that RevRec Lite, but it is a bit cumbersome and it doesn't cover everything. So let me tell you about RevRec Lite. So most of the firms that we work with here at OAS are not doing any type of revenue recognition. Their revenue is equal to their invoicing. If they are doing something more, then they're doing this RevRec Lite, which means it's revenue on the income statement is this formula. Revenue is equal to invoicing, what you've billed through the end of that month, plus the WIP. So it's invoicing plus any held time and expenses that you're not able to bill that month. This RevRec Lite tool will allow you to post all of that unbilled labor and expenses at your billing rates to your income statement and to a balance sheet account, so that revenue on the income statement, you'll see the actual amount invoiced, but then you'll have another line that shows your unbilled revenue on your income statement as well. I am going to show you how this functionality, this is the only thing I'll really demo at the end, but again, if the firms that we work with mostly, if they're not just doing revenue equals invoicing, then they're using this functionality here. So I'd like to show you how it works, just in case it helps any of you. It is time sensitive. So when RevRec Lite is used, you do need to get through all of your invoicing at the end of the month so that all the WIP clears out that you're invoicing. And the only thing left in there at that point is what you can't invoice that month, but you've incurred the cost, so you want to incur that revenue as well. So it's time sensitive. After you're done billing, you run this tool, and again, it will pick up the unbilled labor and expenses at billing rates, and it will post that to an unbilled revenue and an unbilled balance sheet account as well. In the next month, you go in and you reverse this out at the beginning of the month. And then at the end of the month, after you bill, at the end of the next month, you're going to run it again. Again, I'll walk through this process, but just in high level, that's how this works. This, again, is useful if you do have a big amount of WIP and unbilled labor expenses at the end of the month. If you're able to invoice everything that you've been working on, or most of it, at least a material amount of it, then you don't need to do this. But again, if you have a lot of WIP, or you have different types of contracts that have different types of like milestone billing, that's reasons to push forward into some other revenue recognition module or functionality. Next, I've got this slide up here. I'm not going to get into this in a lot of detail. There's a lot of detail on the slide. You will get the slides. Tim sends these out, or sends out the recording of this session afterwards, after we get done here. And I believe probably the slides will be in there as well. So you'll get this. This post-earned revenue module is built into the system. You can do some some advanced functionality. You can do billing at the same thing that RevRec Lite does, this post-earned revenue module will do. But if this is what you need, then RevRec Lite's the better way to go. This post-earned revenue module will also allow you to take a contract amount and put in a % complete at the end of every month. That's not for billing purposes. It's where you're at in the project, and it will recognize revenue on that. The only limitations or downsides to using this here with the system functionality is it is a bit cumbersome. You have to pull up each project individually and enter that % complete for revenue purposes and save it. And you can only do it at the project level. You can't go down to your phase or task, a lower WBS level. It doesn't work if you have multiple org units. So any of you that have orgs built into your system, it does not work with those. And then, excuse me. Yeah, and this is just telling you it does. It's a bit complicated because if you turn this on, every time you post an invoice, there will be some ins and outs to the unbilled labor and expenses on the income statement and the balance sheet. So it's a little bit to get used to and to look at. But if this ends up being something that you need, we here Oas, again, we're here to help you implement whatever type of revenue method you need. So again, I don't want to go down, it's very complicated, but we're here to help you if this ends up being the right method for you, if you need it. Now, if that doesn't work, if you have some other more complex way that you need to recognize revenue, Unanet has created a custom RevRec dashboard that they will implement for you. Well, if you need this and you talk to us and we say, oh, you need the custom RevRec dashboard, we'll work with you and Unanet to get this installed and to get it set up the way that you want it to. This is a pretty small little slide that I put in here, but I just put it in here so that you see it is a dashboard that it works off of, but you do input data here. So if you need that method where you're recognizing revenue based on a % complete, that's different than your billing. We would recommend that you go with this custom RevRec dashboard instead of that post-earned revenue method that is in the system. This functionality will list all of your projects, and if you need to recognize based on a % complete, there's a % complete column in this RevRec dashboard that you can just go down through and you can enter those % completes. The % complete can be programmed to automatically update based on the effort that's gone into your project. That means the total time times a billing rate divided by your contract amount. This can be set up so that it automatically calculates that % complete for revenue purposes. And you can even have an override column so that you could look at what the system calculates. If you need to override that, there's a column you can put in your override %. But again, this would be set up with the Unanet team, but we would help you to coordinate that effort if it's needed. Now, that custom RevRec dashboard was created because there are firms in need of more advanced revenue recognition in the system. But Unanet is working on getting that same functionality built into the system without it being a customized method. They're not telling us when it's actually going to be ready, but they are hoping to have a pilot at the end of this year, at the end of 2025. And they're always open to having, if any of you think that you might need this, they're always looking for firms that will test out new functionality for them. So you can contact Unanet if you're interested in that. But it's also something to consider if you're a small firm and you don't need revenue recognition right now. You're able to invoice pretty much everything every month, at least the material amount of what you have out there. So your revenue and your invoicing does equal. You don't need revenue recognition at this point, but your plans are to grow and to get more and different types of contracts. And if that happens, you may need revenue recognition in the future. So it's good to know that Unanet does have system functionality they're working on, not too far out, so that when you need it, just kind of keep in mind and keep watching for updates too from Unanet. What's in the new features when the new versions come out. So that gets me through this presentation. Let me show you and demo for you how the RevRec Lite works. So if you all know that if you do nothing more with revenue at the end of a month, every time you record a new client invoice, it creates revenue on your income statement. But if you want to be able to add in the unbilled labor and expenses, your WIP, onto your income statement, there is a report under utilities and custom reports called Unbilled Summary by Org Unit. Everybody has this. It is built into the system. It's just in this custom report area. When you run this report, so most of you know this, but in custom reports, to run a report from this area, you double click on it so that you can see the report name here. And then you click on Preview Report at the top, and that will give you any options that you have in that report. This report is a little different than other reports because it has this one option here that says Post WIP to General Ledger. So it actually, if you have this box checked, it is going to run a report, but it is also going to create a journal entry for you. And I'm going to leave that on so I can show you how it works. So at this point, before I run this, in this database, I've got it set up so the current period is July 2025. So there have been some invoices run in this demo database. So there is revenue sitting on the income statement, but it's the revenue that has been invoiced. So so at this point, we say, show me all of the unbilled WIP as of 7/31, because I want to post everything that's left after invoicing to the income statement and balance sheet. I'm going to leave the project blank, and then you all have to decide if this posting, if it's appropriate for you to include labor, ODCs, OCCs, ICCs. You could just decide that you want to post labor WIP, and you could uncheck these and just post the labor amount to the general ledger. I'm going to check all of them just to show you how it works. And then you can choose when this creates the journal entry, you can decide whether it's only going to post at the project level or if it's going to go down and post to the phase level as well. Phase and tasks, however many levels you have on your project. If you choose WBS, it's going to go down to the lowest level that you have data in here for. I'm going to leave it at WBS, and then I'm going to click print. And when I click print, this report will run. It'll show you, it has a labor column, an ODC, those are other direct charges. It has OCC, the out of contract consultants, and the ICCs, the in contract consultants. And then it gives you a total for everything. So if we look at this first project here, there are some ODCs. There's no labor or OCCs. You probably we build everything for the month, but there's some kind of ODC left here after we did billing. So that shows up in this total here. And then if we go down to this project down here, this does have some labor in it, and these are our phases. So it's showing by our org units, actually. These are showing by org unit. So this will post to the right org units as well, if you have org units in place in your system. So there's $800 here, $200 under this O2 org unit, and there's $55,000 here of consulting that is going to post to this project. So a total of $57,800 more in revenue is going to get posted to this project than what you invoiced this month. So this is a pretty significant one, and something showing why you might want to consider, or might need to consider, posting this, because you have this expense in the system for a consultant, but you don't have any revenue offsetting it. So that's the reason why this shows up, or why you might want to consider this. If I go all the way to the end of this report, and down to the bottom of it, it's going to tell me way down at the bottom that WIP has posted to a general journal entry number 328. If you ran this and it said, it says something like no entry posted, or it's something like that. There's messages. It's going to tell you if it posted or if it didn't. If it didn't post, then there's something wrong in the setup someplace, and that would need to get resolved for it to get posted. But this did post. It posted to number 328 in the general journal entries. And what I'm going to show you, so this total, let's take note that this is 512, 681.59. This amount is what the total journal entry should be when we go and look at it. And if I go over to general accounting and general journal, and I type in that number, that 328, and hit enter here in the search field, then that pulls up the automated post WIP entry that came from that report. And it will have a line for every project and every type of expense, labor or consulting. And you'll see here, this is fee revenue it's going to, and there will be, if I pull this over, let me get rid of this. If we go over a little bit, you will see credits. You're going to see credits to the income statement because it's putting more revenue onto the income statement, into unbilled fee revenue and various unbilled revenue accounts. And then you will see, if we go down further, it's debiting an asset account, a work in progress, labor, ODC, OCC accounts here. So it's putting an amount on the balance sheet, which when you have real billed revenue, that's debiting accounts receivable and crediting revenue. This is debiting a work in progress asset, and it's crediting an unbilled revenue instead of just regular revenue. When this posts, it is pulling from a global setting to know which account to post to. Under administration, global settings is where that is at. And it's this revenue recognition tab. So this does need to be set up before you run that report to post. And when it posts, it looks at these, and these are all of those debit accounts, and these are the credit accounts that it pulls into. You need to have an account in there for each of these, for everything. It can't be blank, or you're going to end up with error accounts in your general journal entry. I'm sure you've all ended up with some entries someplace, maybe, that have had error accounts in there. And of course, you don't want that. So make sure that this is all filled in if you use that and if you want to use it. So this journal entry is in here. If I ran an income statement right now, just to show you, or a balance sheet, it's going to be on both of those. This is for July of 2025. If I print this, accrual basis, we're going to see our billed, all our different billed revenues, but then there's this unbilled here. So this is in here because of that journal entry. And there are all of these unbilled. There are a few different unbilled accounts in here. Here's the consulting ones, and we've got more. This is a demo database, so we're always testing in here. We end up with a lot of extra stuff that most firms would not have in here, but this is where it ends up after you do that. So this is recording as of right now what's unbilled on what's left over and unbilled after you've done your actual billing to your clients, right? Next month, the same thing's going to happen. At the end of next month, you're going to have a certain amount of WIP left over. But you're going to want to reverse out this entry at the beginning of the next month so that when you get to the end of that month, you can record again just what's left at the end of that month. So this is in here for July. What I want to do, I recommend doing this right at the same time that you record this entry. You go up to tools and you click auto reverse, and it will automatically reverse into the next period. So go ahead and do this because you want it to reverse in August and say yes, and it made transaction number 329. If we pull up 329, it's going to be the exact entry that's here, except just a reverse of the debits and credits. So all of the 4,000 accounts are being debited here, and all of those 1,000 accounts are being credited. So this is August. At the end of August, you're going to do your billing, and then you're going to run this report again for the end of August. And then that's going to record what's left at the end of August. You would change that date. But this is just, again, we went over all these different methods for revenue recognition. This is just one method out there, and it's not necessarily the right one for you. Again, you want to work with whoever your auditors are or your CPA firm to come up with what the right way is for the way your contracts are set up to record your revenue. If you feel like your revenue and your invoicing is equal, then you don't need to do any of this extra stuff. And again, that what we normally see is when firms are starting out, and smaller firms in general, revenue and invoicing are materially correct on your financial statements. So nothing more may be needed. But if you're being told by somebody externally that you need to record something differently, or if you feel like you've got some different contracts where you have significant differences in revenue versus invoicing, that's when you'd want to take the next step and figure out what you need. And then again, here at OAS, we can help you determine how to get that set up in Unanet, whether it's system functionality or going with the custom RevRec, or holding off a little bit until Unanet gets the new system functionality built in. So that concludes what I'm going to go over today. Happy to answer any questions anybody has. Feel free to come off of mute and ask, or put it in the chat, and then we can open it up to other questions and Q&A as well. Everybody overwhelmed?
Hi, Martha. This is Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. So I have a couple of questions. So when you're doing the RevRec Lite, what happens if you need to hold the WIP on the project?
So it's still going to be there. When you run RevRec Lite, it's not doing anything on the billing side. It's just creating extra. Well, so are you asking because maybe do you want to do something different with your held time for revenue purposes? Or is it really where you're worried about what it would do to it on the billing side?
Well, more or less, we wouldn't be doing this. We just do revenue equals billing, but I'm curious to find out if when it posts to the income and the work in progress accounts, if it's still sitting there and then you bill it, what happens to it?
So it won't be the next month when you run RevRec Lite again, you run that report, it won't be on there. And I didn't say that. That's this probably to clarify, the time that shows up on that unbilled summary by org unit is only time that's in the R or H, the ready to bill or the hold status, bill statuses. So when you bill it, it turns into a B status, a billed status, and it will drop off of the report.
Okay.
So if you record it in August, it's in an R status and it gets recorded in August. And then you reverse that out you'll reverse it out at the beginning of the next month. So it's gone. And then you're going to run that report again that pulls in at that, whatever time that is at the end of the next month, what's there. And it's going to be gone from that report at that point. It is a bit complicated, I understand. Keep asking questions if I didn't answer.
We have another question in the chat, Martha.
Sure.
Can we go over the RevRec dashboard? Can we get a look at that?
We actually don't have it in any of our demo databases. We don't have access to that, but if you would like a demo of that, Unanet will do that for you. We can either coordinate that for you or you can go directly to Unanet as well. If you have specific questions about what it might do, feel free to come off of mute and ask.
And also Monica's asking, it says, since you're reversing it every month, you are doing it over again every month?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It gets reversed out we recommend you reverse it out the first day of the next month, and then when you're done billing for that next month, you're going to record it again, and then you're going to reverse that one in the month after it and record it again when you're done billing that next month. So absolutely.
And then it says, so accrual-based revenue would consist of billed labor, anything posted through the unbilled summary, and aged WIP. Is there anything else feeding into revenue?
So accrual-based revenue, if you run RevRec Lite, you can choose to record unbilled labor, ODCs, OCCs, ICCs, any or all of them. If you just want labor, unbilled labor to be recorded for your revenue accrual, you can just choose labor. If you want it to be everything, you can check the box for everything.
Does that answer your question, Tiffany?
Yes, thank you.
And then we have, are there reports we can use to tie out WIP?
So it depends on what method you're using, but if you're using that, this method, this RevRec Lite, if that works for you, this report that runs will tie out. If you use the process that I just walked through, where you record this, you reverse it out the next month, and then you record it again at the end of the next month, this report is going to be your backup for what's in your unbilled revenue. If you're using one of the other methods, the custom RevRec dashboard, that dashboard itself will be your backup for what's in WIP. And then if you need something else, of course, customized reports could be used, but in general, we usually, I told you about 3 different methods: RevRec Lite, post-earned revenue that's in the system, and then the custom revenue recognition dashboard. If firms are recognizing revenue, they're usually either using this RevRec Lite or the custom RevRec dashboard. And this does tie out perfectly, and then that custom RevRec dashboard does as well.
Right. And then another one is, what happens if you need to bill 1-2 projects mid-month? Do you need to reverse and run RevRec again?
Nope, you don't. Usually you're only running, depends on how often you want it updated. We have seen some firms that come from other softwares that automatically record WIP, and they're just used to having that updated all the time. You could choose to post RevRec Lite weekly if you wanted to. It would mean that you'd need to post it, and then if you're doing it weekly, you would post it, and then before you run it the next week, you'd reverse out what you did the prior week and then post it again. And I see the next chat in there too.
Okay.
I'm utilizing the post-earned revenue, though I don't need most of the functionality, mainly because I totally don't trust the transaction status after billing, as we have a lot of lump sum invoicing. Was afraid of overstating revenue. Okay, good to know somebody is using it and it's working for you, so that's good. But that you don't totally trust it. The statuses after billing. The statuses should change as long as all of your invoice designs are set up properly. They should transfer over to a B status after things are billed, but there are some settings in global settings, like for related to fixed fee invoicing, and there are settings in the actual invoice designs to make sure those are right. So just to throw that out there related to that comment, make sure all of that's set up right. Great. I'm glad you got a little bit of clarity. Feel free to ask more questions if you have them. Anyone else? Is anybody out there, you're not using RevRec, but you somehow come across some kind of auditing needs to start exploring earned revenue? Or think that might be coming up? Okay, well, we can open it up. If you any Q&A you have, any questions about the whole system, feel free to again come off mute or put it in the chat, or our whole OAS team is here to answer anything, hopefully answer anything you have.
This is Amy again.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. So we've noticed that we have a link between the ERP and the CRM. And in the CRM, it references a change order. So my question is there a change order functionality in the ERP?
There is a change order functionality, but we don't find many firms using it, and I don't know if any of us and any OAS team, if any of you know the answer to this, feel free to come off of mute. We're not well versed in CRM. We don't implement it, so I'm not sure what that functionality does on the CRM side. Is it like a checkbox you check, Amy, that's over there in CRM that says it's a change order?
I'm not sure. We're just trying to figure out where some of the information is coming from the ERP. And there's been a lot of questions about the change order.
Are you thinking there's change orders coming from ERP back over into CRM?
Yes.
Oh.
Hmm.
Do you use this? I can show you where that change order, where that's at in the ERP system in case you want to look and see if you can find data in those areas.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So it's under project planning, project management, project planning. It's here. You'd pull up a project, but there is a request change order and a view change order. To use this, there does have to be a project, and if you want to link it, you have to at least link it to a project that's already in the system. You can also link it to phases as well, but change orders do have to have a project. So you can't just create a change order without a project, if that helps.
Yes.
And then if you can't find it, I would strongly recommend going back to the Unanet Connect team and having them to help trace where that data is coming from for you.
Okay.
Hi, Martha, it's Denise.
Hi, Denise.
So with the CRM, there's two ways to go about that. You can deploy a UDF for the change order, or there's something called sub opportunities, but then you need to work with your CRM team for the mapping of either one. Amy, does that help?
Yes, thanks, Denise. That's
Yeah.
very helpful.
Thank you, Denise.
Other questions we can help with?
Martha, I have a question.
There we go.
Sure.
I've been looking at the project profitability summary, and I've been trying to make sense of the headers. Where it says there's two of the headers that are concerning me, and I was wondering if maybe you could give me some direction. But where it says the labor revenue,
Okay.
I was,
Go ahead. Keep going.
I was thinking that it would be what you were referring to earlier with the billed revenue, the billed labor, I'm sorry, and then the posted WIP, and then any WIP that's not posted, but I'm not, mine isn't tying out to that. And then the net consultant, I'm not understanding where that number comes from.
Let's run this in our demo database here so we can look at it. again, if any of our OAS consultants, if you're familiar with this report, feel free to chime in here. I haven't dug into this report in a lot of detail. So so you're asking what this labor revenue?
Correct.
Okay. Let's see if we can look at it quick. So that says 1.475 million for this $1 million bridge project. And let's see if we run the project figures report. I'm just curious what's showing up on there. Whoops. It would be helpful if I'd load a project first. I know that $1 million bridge has been in some of our revenue recognition general ledger entry. So yep, so this is billed. This is only, or this is 2765. So it is more than billing that's showing up for labor. Yeah, even total labor here is 2.3. So the fact that it's 1.75 million definitely means that, so that was under custom reports, under utilities, custom reports project. It's this one that you were talking about, right, Tiffany? This project.
Correct.
Summary.
Yes.
Okay. Let me run that again.
When I run it, I have to run it from like the beginning of time
Yeah,
to make sure that I'm getting all the numbers in.
that, of course, that would make more sense. Let's do it from there through, let's even just do it there for the fun of it. And let's see if, oh, I didn't like those dates. That's okay. What's the first date in here? 2022. That's why it's mad. So let me try that. And then let me find that $1 million bridge is here, 3390242. It definitely has some revenue built into there because that's more than what was on that the total project figures report, which is job to date. Now, you're saying though it's not, if you take the amount, and you're running RevRec Lite, is that correct?
I'm running the
Unbilled summary by org unit?
yes.
Okay. And you're saying it's, if you take what's on there for the past month, because you should be reversing out the prior month, total
Right.
invoiced plus that amount is not equaling out.
Right. So for most of my projects, it does tie out
Okay.
if I add the billed revenue and the unbilled revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But for some of my projects, I'm adding the billed and the unbilled revenue, and I still don't have enough to tie out to that labor revenue. So I don't know where else it could be pulling revenue from.
So I'm just curious, is this labor revenue always more in that case than what you add up? Or is it less
So it's always spot on or more.
or more? So there's something else coming in there, huh? Do you run, when you run the unbilled summary report, do you choose labor, ODC, ICC, and OCC?
Yes.
You do, okay. Just thinking of things.
Because when you started going over that report, it started making me wonder if the ICC, OCC, or ODC is being overstated when running that report. But most of the other projects are tying out. So I don't know. I'm thinking that it's maybe pulling revenue from somewhere else.
Okay, well, so again, if anybody has an answer to this, feel free to come off of mute and let us know. But if not, then if we could dig into it, what I'd like to do is, do you work with one of our consultants here at OAS already?
We're about to start working with Tim.
Okay. Okay. You'll get assigned to a consultant and we can dig in, it might be me. What I'd like to do is to dig into a project with you and look at exactly what you're looking at it does seem like this should be taking that into account, but it may not be. And I can actually research and follow up with you too to verify what that labor revenue should be. That might be the best place to start.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Hi there. I'm not sure if this is answering the question exactly, but I had a similar question for the Unanet team, and I got an email from them a few weeks ago, and I have a subsequent call this later this week. But they sent me some information which I dropped in the chat of how the system is set up to gather unbilled financial info. So it's what they sent to me was timesheets, purchase items, employee reimbursements, and disbursements. And I still kind of need to dig into this on a more detailed level, but they just sent me some other information in addition to labor, what that unbilled could be pulling from.
Wow, that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
Yeah, sure thing. And also the question that I've had out to Unanet, which I'm still trying to dig into, is that when I run unbilled for a period, and build, and then that reversal comes through for the unbilled in the following period, I've had several instances where and I'm also doing this on a day-by-day basis, within the same period. In theory, I would think that the build transactions would zero out against the unbilled, or rather you would see the balance in unbilled go down each day and be replaced by billing transactions after, all the timesheets have been closed for the period. And I'm not really seeing a one-to-one zeroing out or matching up of the unbilled going down as the build is going up for the same period. So that's just another thing as part of this RevRec Lite process. I'm trying to get an understanding of as far as how the unbilled and the build kind of flows after all of the other transactions should be kind of done for the period. So yeah, that's just something that I'm still trying to get a better understanding of.
I understand what you're saying. There could be things
Mhm.
like if at billing time you write off any time, that would
Hmm.
right, like that would cause those not to be exactly the same.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to think of like I think there's other scenarios because it's not there are some systems out there where like United's post earned revenue does it. Every time you do every time you post a client invoice, it'll at that same time make an adjustment to your unbilled revenue in asset accounts. Unanet doesn't, that RevRec Lite doesn't do that. So it's separate. So if there's anything you do at billing time, maybe you modify some time in there, or you write off time, or I'm trying to think of other things there. I know there's other things you could do that would affect it too and not get it to be exactly equal. But just they are separate processes if you use that unbilled summary report. So I understand where it could be confusing if you're trying to tie those out.
Hmm. Yeah, and I just have to spend some more time just on a transaction by transaction level just to see what's not matching up between the unbilled report, and what's hitting our GL and the bills and the sales journals that are hitting our GL. Um, but yeah, it's still kind of helpful to go through this to see how it's working within the system.
Great. Feel free to reach out if you need another set of eyes when you're looking at anything specific.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. What other questions does everyone have?
Anybody has any more questions, you can just unmute and ask, or you can put them in the chat box as well, whatever you feel is easier. We have about 10 more minutes or so. Is documentation about the profitability of report.
Oh, yeah, what is, trying to make that bigger. So fixed fee billed plus hourly billed plus labor revenue unbilled. So Tiffany, so thank you so much. That was super helpful. So Tiffany, it's not related necessarily to there's no journal entries that is taking into account. It's taking at the day, the exact time that you're running that report, it's looking at what's been billed, hourly or fixed fee, and it's adding in at that moment in time what's in unbilled. So if you ran the unbilled summary by org unit that second that you were running that profitability report, that would be the number that it's adding in there. And Tiffany, if you'd rather that it pull from your RevRec entries, that's something that could be customized. We don't recommend customization unless you absolutely need it, but if you need it, we can do almost anything that you need.
Can you repeat what you said is included in there?
Yep, it's in the chat in the.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That's okay. Yeah, I can share my screen too because I can find my share button again. So this is it. Let me keep making this a little bit bigger. See if I can. Oh, that might be. There we go. So it is just labor based, but it's anything billed fixed fee, anything billed hourly, and then at that moment in time, it's what's in unbilled. And that's where unbilled gets tricky. I'm sure many of you have seen and figured that out too. With the system doesn't record historical unbilled amounts. If something is unbilled in general, if you see something saying unbilled in the system, it's referring to anything at that moment in time that's in a ready to bill or a hold status. If you try to run an unbilled report for January 2025 and you want to see what was unbilled at that time, you're not going to be able to run it. If you run it for January, as of today's date, it's only going to show time that's still unbilled that was in there from January. But anything that got billed between January and today's date is not going to be in that report anymore. So always be careful when you're looking at those, anything relating to unbilled in Unanet, any reports or figures that are pulling in.
Awesome. Thank you, MGC, for sharing that. That was helpful. Any other questions, comments? It shows WIP in days.
Does the detail? I feel like the Denise, I think the PM report that's called unbilled charges detail will do that.
I know it shows, there was the detail and shows total WIP, but it doesn't. And I know there's the age WIP, but it doesn't do the average days.
It doesn't do average days, but here's an example. I just ran it. It does show every day in this unbilled charges. I'm under project management PM reports. And this, another thing to note, there are 3 unbilled charges reports here in PM reports. Those should tie out to the unbilled summary by org unit too. They should all match if you run them all for the same dates. So like if you're running that unbilled summary report and you want to see what's making up a total on that report, you can come in here and run the unbilled charges detail to see.
I learned to not include unsubmitted because it changes.
Very good point. the unbilled summary by org unit does not have unsubmitted or unapproved. It only has approved time. So that's a very good point. You do have to make sure those are unchecked here if you want this to tie out to the other report.
Hey, Martha, there is an aged WIP report in custom reports that will group it by the 30, 60, 90 categories.
Thank you, Tammy.
Yep.
I
No,
like-
do aged WIP.
Oh, aged RIP.
Yeah.
There we go. So I'm under utilities, custom reports, aged WIP. And we can run this. Date, that should work.
Yeah, and I was looking for the average day of WIP, so
You want like that one metric, that number, Denise?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, across all of our, like for one customer, what is their average day of WIP? Do they pay us? Are our PMs invoicing monthly or, so it's your unbilled, and then as, if you have some that are 2 months old.
Does
Yeah.
that, yeah, there is an AR dashboard. Does that, anybody know? I don't
We
think we
use the client pay performance report.
client. Is that a custom report? Client pay.
On mine is under reports under AR.
That has that one metric Denise was asking for?
I feel like it has a metric for how they pay, but I don't know about WIP.
Oh, Tiffany, you win, I think.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Tiff. This is very helpful. That's one of the matrix when you're evaluating your client and, their contracts.
Yeah, but I don't know about the
The unpaid portion, yeah. But
Yeah.
this is great on their paid performance.
Mhm.
I'll have to make a note of this one and ask for access to it.
Hey, Denise, the other thing you might want to look at is the CXO scoreboard dashboard, because they do have the unbilled in there. And it does do some aging. If you go to the tab that has like the charts, you may just have to add like client information to it if you want to get kind of, it's that unbilled tab, Martha, right in the middle.
Yep.
So you may just need to have that kind of customized to add the client to it, so that way you can get that client number, but they do have it to capture that, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And that's the CXO score.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll make note of those two. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. We're coming up to the top of the hour. I just wanted to, let me just share my screen, just to give everyone a heads up of what's coming. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So August 18th, the next time we meet together, will be part 4 of project planning. We have parts 1, 2, and 3 that cover different aspects of project planning. So if you missed those, just shoot me an email and I can send you those if you want to catch up. But then part 4, we'll be discussing some new tips and tricks in regards to project planning. So we look forward to that. And then September 1st, Labor Day, we won't have a meeting that day. And then we'll go from there after that. But thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. It was another great discussion, great questions, and hopefully we all learned something. I know I did. And if we can help any further when it comes to RevRec or anything to do with Unanet, just let us know, and we're happy to jump in. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you, Martha, as well.
Thank you, everyone.